Hello. I hope you're doing okay today. So I'm just going to jump on live now. This is the very first time I've actually done this where I'm going to stream this through onto podcast. I'm going to be putting it onto my Facebook group for support as well. I'm just going to be discussing a little bit of information on basically you need to accept that we will gain a little bit of body fat sometimes, and we may overconsume certain types of foods, which may not be in line with our goal as well. So I'm going to explain a little bit of information on that today because I know actually with the weather being amazing outside, I know for a fact that there will be people out there who've maybe indulged a little bit over the weekends. I currently went away camping over the weekend and I did exactly the same. And it probably wasn't in line with my fat loss goal if I was going through a fat loss goal. And I know there's probably a lot of people out there who've maybe gone out with friends, seen family and friends. They may have had like a barbecue or something like that. And they may have maybe just consumed a little bit more than what they do normally, maybe indulged a little bit more than what they do normally. And it's willing to accept that these times that you have are perfectly normal. And you're not always going to be progressing on your goal at that time. And it's willing to accept that you may have gained a little bit of body fat within that period of time, which is perfectly normal, guys. You can do this on a regular basis and still get the goals that you want. And I think it's how the main thing that I wanted to get across today is how we react to this. Because most of the time, which will generally tend to happen with people, is they'll get to a period of the weekend where they maybe indulged with family and friends. They've enjoyed themselves as well. And they feel guilty come Monday. And it's sort of like they generally tend to restrict themselves a little bit because they feel like they need to get basically better at the goal of what they need to basically assist to their goal and get the results that they want. So they feel as if they need that restriction in place now to prevent that from happening again. So I think that's important to know, guys, that if you do promote a little bit of restriction and you feel I'm going to push myself a little bit more, I'm maybe going to go out and exercise a little bit more than what I do normally. I'm going to maybe reduce my calories down. I'm going to take things away. I'm just going to give myself that little bit more of a push than what I do normally because I consume something over the weekend, which I enjoy doing. Then that's just going to potentially, what that may do as well is you may get to say like a Friday or something, or maybe in like a couple of weeks time, this may happen, but it usually generally tends to promote a binge. Or what we generally tend to do as well sometimes is we'll do this for a period of time, we push ourselves, but that food just generally tends to become a little bit more desirable as well. And it's important to make sure that you just draw a line. I think I've brought this up actually, and plenty of content before, guys, but just draw a line and just getting back to your regular routine of your fat loss goal, what you've been doing normally is very, very important to the process that you're going down. There may be another situation as well where people generally tend to consume over the weekend and they'll get to Monday and it's like, why should I carry on with my goal at all? I might as well leave it now because I've messed up my diet and I'm not going to get where I need to be at. And the most important thing to think about is that food that you've potentially consumed may actually help you out a little bit as well. The fact that it made you feel great at the time, you may have felt like you've had more energy levels, you may have been able to move a little bit more. This is the thing. Sometimes when we generally tend to consume more food, naturally our NEAT, or non-exercise activity thermogenesis, so our steps that we do throughout the day, our movements, naturally we just move a little bit more. Okay. And also as well, it may fuel your workouts. So you may actually perform a little bit better. So you may actually be burning calories off a lot quicker just because you consume something great over the weekend. Try not to overthink this too much as well. I think this is an important part to play because, I got to the weekend and I had a great time. I went camping. I had barbecues. I had quite a few drinks. I probably consumed well over 5,000 calories on a Saturday, and then 5,000 calories maybe on a Sunday as well. And you may be thinking to yourself, oh my God, that is like a lot of calories. But probably for me, it's not that much. I'm probably in maybe a bit of a surplus there, probably in a surplus of around about 1,500 calories, something along them lines. I probably don't know. This is the thing. It's like totally up in the air, this, but it probably may be around about that much. But I honestly find that that's perfectly normal. And I know for a fact that sometimes me consuming that type of food and over consuming on them calories may benefit me and help me out in the long run. And the fact that I've just jumped back on board of things the best I can, draw a line, move back into my regular routine is an important part of the process, because 2 days isn't going to outweigh the weeks, the months of your overall progression. That's so important to remember, guys. Remember as well that averages always matter over time. It's so important for you guys to understand that. If you have indulged over the weekend as well, it's sometimes quite hard to draw that line, but it's important that we do. Come Monday, you jump back on board the things the best you can, and you move forward to your goal. So I hope that makes sense, guys, because I honestly find that if you've overconsumed on certain types of foods, have a think about when you overconsumed on them certain types of foods as well. Was that a time where you really enjoyed yourself? Was it a time when you were socializing with family and friends? Was it like a social occasion where you were out and you went to a restaurant or you went to a barbecue and you maybe consumed slightly more food than what you would do normally? Then that's probably an okay time to overconsume on them foods as well. You felt great, you were socializing, you enjoyed yourself. I honestly find the times when we should be thinking about not doing this is maybe consuming certain types of foods where you may have like sort of had a little bit of a stressful day, and like it's got to the end of the day and you've like overconsumed on certain types of foods, or you've maybe had something a little bit processed which was like really highly calorific and you overconsumed on it because it made you feel better for that little bit of period of time. That's probably a time not to overconsume on certain types of products, because you're trying to resolve that stressful situation by consuming food, when really it gives you that short-term win where you feel great for a short period of time, and then afterwards it's like, well, do you know what, it's probably not like resolved how I feel now because I've consumed it, and it's like I'm back to normal now. I'm still a bit stressed out potentially. So I think that's very, very important to think about, guys. I think that's important to the process, that you keep a positive mindset and you don't feel guilty about, things that you potentially enjoy having, especially with the weather on like this at the moment. It's important to make sure that we indulge, but we do draw a line. And I think one other thing that I want to bring up as well is, use the time that you have to indulge really, really wisely. And what I mean by this is, if you're like, say for instance, you're at like a barbecue, for instance, and you have a burger and you think, I'm going to have that burger now, I'm like 100% behind consuming this burger, I'm really looking forward to this now, I'm feeling a little bit hungry, and you consume it. And then you have a beer because you're 100% behind having that beer, or it could be a glass of wine. And you have the glass of wine, you have the beer, one or the other, and you have that burger and it made you feel great. You're 100% behind it, felt great. How about if someone offered you something else? So say, for instance, it was another burger, or it was a sausage, or it was something along them lines at a barbecue. Were you 100% behind consuming that second helping of foods on there? Have a little think about that. If you were 100% behind it, you give yourself time to digest that food, and you went, you know what, actually, I'm still 100% behind consuming this. It's okay. And the same might like sort of happen again with your second drink, your glass of wine or your beer or something. Yeah, okay, I'm still there with that. But then is the third helping, or the fourth drink, Do you know what? Do you get what I mean by this? Because that's the thing that matters the most. It's how far we push it as well on the weekends. Because I think, as I mentioned before, with regards to tracking calories, sometimes we don't know, we're not aware of this, but I'm quite I'm very aware of the amount of food that I consume, and I know I can consume a lot of calories, and I could probably push it over 5,000 sometimes as well. And some people are not aware of this, that it can be easily done on the weekends, from consuming palatable foods, from chocolates to pizza. And I've like pizza on a Friday as well. Yeah, and like barbecues and just like, indulging and stuff like that. There has to be a line, because when you start to cross that line a little bit more, it's not in line with your goals as much, and it's pushing you further away from your goals. It's okay to probably push it away from your goal a little bit, a fraction. As I said, it's okay to accept that, we will gain body fat sometimes, and it's never always linear. But it's important to make sure that we are thinking about things sometimes. We don't just forget about the goal that you want and the journey that you're wanting to go down, because I think that's very, very important to think about. And if you did overdo it, right, it's just one of them things. You either beat yourself up about it, send yourself down a path of failure, or you draw a line. Okay, I've made a little bit of like a mess up here. I've maybe slightly overconsumed more than what I'd probably do normally. I've done it loads of times before. Believe me, it happens. And I beat myself up about it as well before in the past. But I think it's important to understand, guys, that it's all about your mindset up here as well. And I've mentioned this before a few times in my content as well. It's sort of like diet and exercise is probably like 20% with regards to fat loss. It's all about your mindset up here, which is probably that 80% as well. It does require a lot of effort and hard work and consistency, but also as well, just understanding that things will work out for you eventually if you put that little bit of effort in, but you're willing to give yourself a break once in a while as well. So I hope that makes sense. I'm just going to jump on my live video on my Facebook, because this is the very first time I've actually gone live on here. So I'm just going to check this out now. Okay, no one's commented in at the moment, guys. So that is perfectly fine, not a problem at all. If you have any other questions with regards to any of the information that I've brought up today, with regards to, overconsumption, overindulging on certain types of foods, please let me know. Please comment in. I'm happy to help you guys out and support you with this. Being able to make sure that we have a positive mindset is so important to the process that you're on. And it's important to make sure that, sometimes there'll be times when there's family occasions, a social event with your friends, whatever it is, all these things, especially with the lockdown restrictions easing now. Everyone's going out and about now, and they're doing different things. They're going out with friends and stuff like that. There's loads more events opening up. It's probably a time now where people are going to potentially maybe indulge. So it's important to make sure that if we are doing these things on the weekends, and these things are happening, that we do think about what you're doing going into the weekend, but also at the same time making sure that we understand what we're doing through the week as well. Because sometimes if you lay that restriction on yourself for something that was enjoyable on the weekend, it's just going to end up with you pushing yourself too much, not enjoying the process. I want personally with my clients to make sure that they enjoy the process that they're going down. And I'm leaving any restriction at the door. I think that's so important as well, and try to coach my clients around the positive mindset as well, and just give them a little bit more understanding with nutrition as well. But I think it's people focus a little bit too much on what foods they generally tend to eat, and it's more about sort of like being able to make sure that we reduce stress down, being able to make sure that we enjoy ourselves once in a while as well, and do these things because they do take the edge off a little bit more and they help the process out. I mean, I went away a camping over the weekends, and I've indulged and I've enjoyed the process, and it's really helped me come Monday to get back on board with things today. And I think that's important for you guys as well, is to give yourself a break once in a while. Things aren't always linear with fat loss, and it's important for you guys to know that. So I'll leave it there today. If you like this content today, if it's on podcast, please comment in, let me know what you think. If you can share it on your stories as well, this is really helpful. If you've got any obviously comments on this, if it's in the live Facebook group, feel free to comment in. If it's on YouTube, comment in as well. Happy to help you guys out and support you on this journey that you're going down with regards to fat loss. I'll speak to you soon.